Hello all, my name is Ashish Tanwar and I am an engineer. I am currently pursuing my MBA and I'll be a tutor for these training sessions on the behalf of EcoCard 2016. In these sessions, we will be discussing about automobiles. So let's start. The 5 main segments that we are going to discuss in our videos. Designing is the most basic that one needs to study about automobiles. Now designing lets you expand your imagination and turn it into real shape. It involves 3 parts: 2D sketching, 3D sketching and validation. 2D sketching is basically planar sketching. It gives you a basic idea of how your final design will look like. Now 2D sketching involves dimensioning and part structure design. You can do 2D sketching with the help of the softwares like AutoCAD or CATIA, Pro-E, or DraftSide, etc. After completing 2D sketching, we need to do the modeling. Now, modeling is done to bring out the live shape and size of the sketches. We can use features like extrude, which can turn a simple square into a cuboid, or we can use features like revolve, which can revolve any structure along an axis like a triangle into a cone. It is features like this that makes modeling very interesting, and it is capable of bringing out the true view of the sketches. Now there is a basic difference. You might know that in 2D you can only find out the width and the length. For example, this is a pencil. And in 3D view you can also find out the exact shape along with the width, length and other parameters, which turns out to be very helpful in 3D modeling, unlike 2D. Now the most important part of designing is this part, that is validation. Now various tests are conducted using various simulation, maybe static or dynamic, to find out exactly where the model is going to fail. Now we can use softwares like ANSYS or Inventor, which you may look forward to validate your design. First and very important segment is the braking segment. On the basis of working mechanism, it is divided into 2 parts: disc braking system and drum braking system. Now this is the diagram of the drum braking system. Now main parts of the drum braking system is the connecting wires, the brake shoe, the brake pad, the spring. Now when brakes are applied, the connecting wires opens up these brake pads, which applies the pressure on the brake shoes to restrain the movement of the automobile. Now spring bring back the brake pads to its original position. Now coming back to disc braking system has these calipers, and this is a disc which is connected to the wheel through this shaft. Now when brakes are applied, these calipers comes in contact with this disc, which halts this disc and which stops the automobile. Now this is only operated, these calipers are only operated through hydraulics, and in this case connecting wires are only can be operated through mechanical, hydraulic or electrical actuation. Now few of these important differences are here. This is outside wheel assembly, while drum braking system is inside wheel assembly. And the disc braking system, here contact area of these calipers on the disc is less, and this brake shoe contact area is more. Now this uses ventilated disc, which is high speed steel, and in this brake shoe. Now I am going to discuss how brakes are applied. This is the braking section, and we will start how brakes are applied. Okay. So as soon as brakes are applied through the pedal, pressure is generated in this master cylinder. So this releases a fluid to this connecting wall, which distributes the fluid in all the braking lines. Now we have used rear brakes as drum brakes and the front brakes as disc brakes. You can use any combination of the brakes, either any of this is disc or drum, or you can apply brakes to any shaft. So in case of disc brakes, the fluid passes through this wheel cylinder, and wheel cylinder applies the brake to the disc, which stops the vehicle. And in case of drum brakes, fluid passes through the connecting wires, which expand these brake pads to restrain the vehicle. Now disc brakes are usually expensive and drum brakes are cheaper as compared to the disc brakes. As I already told you, you can use any combination of the brakes, either any of this disc or any of the drum brakes, but at least two tires should have the braking system or any shaft. You can use anything. Now second segment of our video is transmission system. Transmission is transfer of power from the source to the wheels. Now the source can be an IC engine or a motor. Now there are many transmission systems, but we'll discuss only most commonly used. The first one is CVT, that is continuously variable transmission. The second one is chain drive, the gearbox, differential and the belt drive. Now we'll discuss in details in next videos. First we'll discuss the transmission system CVT, continuously variable transmission. This is the basic diagram of CVT. Now this is the drive shaft which is connected to the source of the automobile, and this is the driven shaft which is connected to the wheels. Now the belt connecting these shafts, when the belt will be at lower diameter of the drive shaft, that means the automobile is stationary. As the speed increases, the belt will move towards the higher diameter of the drive shaft. Now this is the cross-section view of this shaft. Now the center of these shafts, the distance between these is constant, and also the length of the belt is constant. So the ratio, that is D1, if we say this is D1 and this is D2, as this ratio increases, the speed of the automobile also increases. The second transmission system we are going to discuss is the chain drive. Now transmission is the transfer of the power from the source to the wheels, and in chain drive we use chain for that purpose. Now this one, the first drive sprocket is connected to the source, and the second driven sprocket which is connected to the wheels. Now other thing we need to know is the gear ratio, which is I. Now N1 is the number of rotation for the first sprocket, and 2 is the number of rotation for the driven sprocket. Same as the D. D is diameter, which is the diameter of second driven sprocket, and D1 is the diameter of the first sprocket. Now we can design the driven sprocket according to this ratio for any given condition. The next transmission system we are going to discuss is the belt drive. Now belt drive is same as the chain drive somewhat, but in this case for transmission we use the belt. Now drive shaft is connected to the source as we have discussed earlier, and driven shaft is connected to the wheels. To design driven shaft, we need to use this ratio according to any specific condition for any automobile. We'll discuss about gearbox. This is the basic diagram of the gearbox. Now this is the shaft which is connected to the source. This rotates the lay shaft, and the lay shaft is connected to the gears, but the lay shaft is not yet connected to the wheels until the gear lever selects the gear with the help of the gear selector fork. Now if we apply first gear, the dog clutch, this is known as the dog clutch, which gets connected to the first gear, and the power from the source travels like this, and the automobile starts moving accordingly. Now if we apply the second gear, the dog clutch gets connected to the second gear, and the power from the source flows like this, and the automobile gets moving. Now in the case of rear gear, there is something different which is known as the idler. Now if the lay shaft is moving in clockwise direction and the wheel shaft start moving in anti-clockwise direction, the automobile moves forward. But in case of rear gear, if the lay shaft is moving in clockwise direction, the wheel shaft also moves in clockwise direction, which leads to the automobile moving in rear direction. Now we'll discuss about differential, but first we'll discuss about different speed of different wheels. Now while an automobile turns, the wheel on the inner side have to travel less distance, and the wheel on the outer side have to travel more distance, thus creating a difference in the speed. Now coming back to this is a pinion gear which is connected to the source, and the pinion gear, as the pinion gear rotates, the ring gear rotates with it, and the ring gear is connected to the assembly of the spider gear, which rotates with the ring gear. Now left axle is connected to the left wheel, and the right axle is connected to the right wheel. When an automobile turns, there is a difference between both of the wheels, which leads to the rotation of the spider gear, so that the wheels don't skid on any turns. Now we'll discuss steering. Steering is basically a set of linkages of various components, so which allows the vehicle to follow a desired path. Now the arrangement which is used these days is to turn the front wheels using a hand operated steering. Now basically this geometry is used in most of the cars. Assume this is the car and these are the rear wheels. This is the steering, which is connected to the wheels directly through these tie rods. This blue part you see here are the tie rods. Now in this geometry, if an imaginary line is drawn from both of the tie rods, the intersection point will meet at the center of the rear part, and this geometry is known as Ackermann geometry. Main advantage of Ackermann geometry is it prevents the vehicle from slipping sideways on the curves. Now we'll discuss about the methods of alignment of steering. Basically there are 4 methods that we're going to discuss: toe in, toe out, camber and caster. Now first of all I want to discuss toe in and toe out. Now assume that I am drawing the top view of the car and these are the wheels. Now we are only going to discuss about the front wheels. These are the front wheels. If you can see, this is the top view. The wheels are slightly inclined inwards and the rear wheels are straight. So this alignment is known as toe in, and in toe out it's just opposite. The wheels are slightly turned outside. This is known as toe in alignment and this is known as toe out. Now in camber, this is the road. The tires, the front wheels of the car making this kind of alignment is known as negative camber. And what is just opposite to the negative is known as positive camber. In case of caster, we'll talk about the rod which holds the front wheels, which is known as the kingpin. This is the kingpin which holds the hub of the front wheels. If this rod is tilted towards the rear wheels, for example, this is the direction where the rear wheels of the car is, this is known as positive caster, and if just opposite, it's known as negative. Now we'll discuss types of steering. There are 2 types of steering. First one is rack and pinion and the second one is bell crank. Rack and pinion comprises of 2 gears. The first one is circular gear, which is known as rack, which is known as pinion, and the second one is the rack. Now this pinion is connected to the steering. For example, this is the steering. If we move the steering towards the left, then this circular gear, which is known as pinion, turns towards the left, resulting in the rack to go towards the right, and this rack is connected to the tie rods, which is connected to the wheels, and as the rack goes towards the right, the wheels goes to the left. And in bell crank method, this is the system which is known as bell crank. As we go towards the left, the same angle that we used steering to tilt towards the left, the system tilt towards the left, resulting in the wheels. This is connected to the right wheel and this part is connected to the left wheel. The vehicle moves towards the left with the same angle the steering made. Now we'll talk about suspensions. Suspension is a system of linkages, springs or shock absorbers which connects the vehicle to the wheel and allows a relative motion between them. Now, suspension contributes to the handling or braking of a vehicle and also contributes to the purpose of safety, along with a high ride quality and driving pressure. Now, types of suspensions, geometry. Now, we'll first talk about dependent geometry. If both of the wheels or any 2 of the wheels are connected through an axle, if any one of the wheel experiences any bump or shock, it affects the motion of other wheel. While in case of independent geometry, there is no direct connection between both of the wheels, so that if any one of the wheel experiences any bump or shock, it won't affect the motion of other wheel. Now we'll talk about suspensions. There are 4 types of suspensions: coil spring, leaf spring, damper and strut. Now a coil spring is a spring that is made of elastic materials and it is used to absorb shock. It is also used to maintain a contact force between any two surfaces and is also known as helical spring. This is a leaf spring. A leaf spring is basically steel rods which goes progressively shorter as we move downwards. This is also known as semi-elliptical springs and is used in heavy vehicles or heavy loads. This is a damper. A damper have highly viscous oil in it and a valve so that whenever an automobile feels any jerk, the oil pass through this valve. As this valve have small holes in it, the oil pass through it as slowly as possible so that automobile don't feel the effects of the jerk. And a strut is a combination of damper and a coil spring, and this is the most widely used in all the automobiles nowadays, like bikes and cars. So now we'll discuss about the mechanism of suspension. There are two types of mechanism that we are going to discuss. The first one is McPherson strut and the second one is double wishbone. I'll discuss first the McPherson strut. McPherson strut is simple. As we have discussed the types of suspension, like this is a wheel and here is the hub of the wheel. The strut is connected here. So whenever the wheel feels any jerk through the hub, the jerk is passed on to the strut. And in the case of double wishbone, there are two wishbones. These structures are known as the wishbone, connected to a wheel, and here is settled an inclined strut. So if the wheel feels any jerk, these wishbones moves in relative motion to pass on the jerk to the strut so that the automobile does not feel any effect or the effect of the jerk is reduced. Now we'll talk about wheels and tires. First, we'll talk about wheels. There are three types of wheels: disc, alloy and spokes. Now disc wheel is a disc. Disc wheel is basically preferred as a rear tire in racing cycles as it helps in turns. Now spokes wheels are, as you can see, there are spokes in it and they are mostly used in normal cycles. They are lightweight as compared to alloy and disc, so that cyclist has to put less efforts in moving his cycle. Now this is an alloy wheel. Alloy wheel is made of alloy and has more strength than any other metal, so they are more ductile and also provide a fancy look to the automobiles. Now we'll talk about tires. Okay. Now we'll specifically talk about tires that can be used in cars. The first one is slick tires, and the second one threaded tires. Now slick tire is a flat tire that are mostly preferred in cars, cars, and threaded tire has threads in it which are normally used in automobiles. Now a slick tire can be used on a racing track and threaded tires can be normally used on any track or normal roads. Next topic is ergonomics. Ergonomics is the science that deals with managing and arranging things for the person so that he can use them safely and easily. Now on the basis of designing a car, we'll discuss only these 5 points. The first one is a driver's position. Now a driver's position should be as comfortable as possible so that he can drive the cart comfortably. Now the position of steering, pedal and gear levers should be such so that he can reach them, and for the driver should be easily accessible so that he can operate easily. Access to accessories. In this point I want to include fire extinguishers or kill switch so that a driver can react as fast as possible in any critical situation or normal condition. Now I'll talk to you about the most important part, that is the safety. Now the first one is the kill switch. A kill switch is a switch which is used so that you can shut off your automobile when you can't do it in a usual manner in case of an emergency. A seatbelt is made to prevent the occupant from any harmful movement that are caused in a sudden stop or any collision. Bumpers are attached to the front or the rear of an automobile in case of any collision so that it doesn't harm the body of the automobile or the occupant. In safety kit, it includes helmet, gloves, suit, shoes, or neck protection. Now, we all should remember that we are using electrical energy in case of EcoCart, so we have to use fire extinguisher only C type, which are special for electric fires. In case of firewalls are used to prevent the occupant from the heat that is released from the electrical equipments that are used in the EcoCart. And it is made of any type of heat insulator.